Today we will be visiting Indonesia and Vietnam, and I'm happy to introduce Yoshi Takita and Van Gordon, who will be facilitating this virtual tour for us along with the team. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lata. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us online for our GBA Fall Forum on real estate investments in the Indonesia and Vietnam markets. I'm Christina, the Vice Chair this year for Orange County Realtors Global Business Alliance. It's my pleasure to give you a little bit more detailed on Mr. Yoshi Takita. He became a real estate agent in 2002 and joined the New York's Long Island Board of Directors in the association and became the involved in an association level. He's currently the global ambassador to Indonesia, Vietnam, and Cambodia since 2002 and will continue on in 2025. And he's also the vice chair for our NAR Global Committee and this year. And he is also has been appointed to Global Real Estate Liaison, which is the highest level appointed position at NAR Global. He's also served in many positions at the association since 2010 and has at the local, state, and NAR level. And he also holds the CIPS designation from NAR as well. Moving on, he will be introducing our Indonesian speaker, Rusmin Lawan. And for our next moderator speaker is our very own Van Gordon. She is a OCR member and she's a Farmers Insurance and Financial Services Advisor. And she is also on the Orange County Board of Directors. And she is the Vice President this year of VNARP Social. She is also the graduate of Orange County Leadership Academy too. So let's give a warm welcome for both of them. Yoshi, would you like to start off with?
Yes, sure.
Thank
good
you.
morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for introduction. My name is Yoshi, and I'm Global Ambassador to Cambodia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and 2024 NAR Presidential Liaison this year. And right now, I'm in charge of 3 countries out of 78 that NAR has bilateral agreement or partnership agreement with. And the first one is Cambodia, CVA, Cambodia Valuers, and Estate Agent Association. And we had a 6 delegation from Cambodia last week in the NAR NXT conference in Boston. And that's one of my bilateral partners. And Indonesia, there are 2 associations that we are partner with. One is Arabi Association of Real Estate Broker Indonesia that focus on real estate brokerage. And another one is REI, Real Estate in Indonesia. This association mostly focus on developers and investors. And our guest speaker, Rasmi, is from REI. And he was in NXT last week in Boston. And the lastly, Vietnam, Vietnam National Real Estate Association. They are another association, subsidiary association for focus on the real estate brokers as well. We had 13 delegation last week in Boston in NXT, and every year we have about 10 to 15 people from Vietnam. In last week in NXT, we had total of 700 international attendees representing 63 countries at NAR in Boston. And my main job is to maintain relationships between NAR and bilateral partner countries, and also make a connection between our members to their members so we can do more businesses. And lastly, I'd like to welcome Rasmin Lawan from Indonesia, from Real Estate Indonesia. He's located in Jakarta. And he's right now he's a presidential advisory for a Nusantara project. And he's working on relocating a capital city from Jakarta to Nusantara. and then he can go over that. Okay, Rasmin, take it away.
Ohayou gozaimasu, Takita-san. Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. I'm in Jakarta now, midnight, almost for sleep. But thank you for inviting me for the OC Realtors Associations. I'm glad to be here, and currently I'm a global ambassador of Real Estate Indonesia Developers Association. We are the biggest real estate developers association in Indonesia. We have 6,000 members. Our members are corporate members, developers in nationwide in 37 provinces of Indonesia. So we are the voice of housing industry, and also we are part of PFC and the International Real Estate Federation, where Yoshi also one of the key person in PFC. PFC is the International Real Estate Federation based in Paris since 1951. We have a presence in 72 countries and comprising of developers, agents, lawyers, valuers, almost something like 30 profession of real estate were a part of our members. So currently I'm a president of Asia Pacific. We have 18 countries under my regions. And the other role is I'm an expert advisor to the Minister of National Capital City, this is Nusantara. So we are going to have a new capital city first, replacing soon, replacing Jakarta. It's located in Borneo, it's the East Kalimantan. Thank you, everyone, for watching the video. So Nusantara now is in the progress. We are in the second year of development, where the core center, like President Palace and government core and also government housing completed, and is the 33 billion USD project for the next 20 years. So we already have already have some foreign investor, and also it's going to be moved totally within 2 years, because we are going to shift about 400,000 government official in the next 5 years. But next year, in January, we are going to shift the first passport. So this is Nusantara, and I would like to share the screen about Indonesia at a glance. Please. Yes. I'm going to address what is the update of Indonesian property today, and also how to buy property in Indonesia, because we just recently opened the opportunity to a foreigner to buy property in Indonesia. I think we are the last country in Asia that opened for foreigner ownership. Can we just scroll down and take a look at the Indonesia at a glance slide? Yeah, just scroll down. Yeah, skip the forward from the ministry. Okay. Actually, this is a book that we produced last year. Scroll down. Yeah. This one. Yeah. No. Yeah. Indonesia at a glance. Yeah. So yes. Yeah. Indonesia, as you know, is the fourth most populous country in the world. We have almost 280 million people today. The fourth most populous country in the world after China, India, US, and the fourth are Indonesia. So the beauty of Indonesia is we have 17,400 islands. We have a very beautiful archipelago, and referring to the PricewaterhouseCoopers and World Bank, Indonesia will be the top 5 country in 2030. So hopefully that we are growing steadily for the last 10 years. Put aside COVID, we are the only country that can grow steadily 5% for the last 10 years. So the beauty of Indonesia is our demography. We have half our populations are people between 19 to 30, 35 years old. So this the beautiful demographic make us grow, keep steadily for the next 25 years. So we just open our property development. We just open our ownership for property for foreign ownership, and now foreigner can buy just using your passport, but it requires some T and C, of course. Okay, we have a threshold of the price, different city, different price. Okay, but not all city are suitable for foreign investment because of course some city attract most attention from foreigners, like Jakarta. Of course, even we are going to move the capital city, Jakarta will be New York. Okay, because we are going to build a DC, so Jakarta will remain a very, very, very important economic and also financial and also entertainment hub in Indonesia. And the other city is Bali. Of course, everyone know Bali. Yossi went to Bali, I think twice or three times a year, without me knowing. Okay, Bali is the most popular destinations for tourism in the world. Okay, we have about 20 million tourists from all over the world, foreign tourists every year. And the other one is Batam. The Batam is the city, it's an island, it's an island, a city island, just opposite Singapore. So it's very close to Singapore. It's a backyard of Singapore, and Batam plays significant role to supporting Singapore economic growth today. Okay. Can you scroll the screen? Yeah. Okay. Move to Batam, I think. Yeah, this is Jakarta, Bali. Yeah. More. Yeah, Batam. This is Batam. Batam is the island next to Singapore. It's very important. And this is the sharks. We scroll. Yes. Scroll up again. Yeah. Actually, I don't want to be too technical because this diagram is too technical. I just want to explain at a glance that now you are open to buy property starting from different city, different threshold, but you can buy both landed or vertical property. It's starting from 60,000 USD until 60,000 USD for vertical housing for apartment leasehold until 330,000 USD for landed property. Yeah, but Jakarta will be double. So now you can use your passport only to buy property in Indonesia, and starting from I said 60,000 until 330,000 USD for the landed houses in Bali. And the other city is smaller. Okay, so the title is leasehold, 30 years plus 30 years and plus 30 years, but it will be under your name. So welcome to Indonesia. If you have any questions, and of course there will be a tax law. You have to pay like 10% of VAT, and also another 5% to we call it ownership tax, but only one time. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm looking for a Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Rusman.
Yeah,
For your
I don't want to go
presentation.
too technical because this is too technical. Yeah, it will take another 1 hour to. Yeah.
Understand. We are now at the Q&A session. So if you have any questions for Mr. Lauwen, please add it in the chat room and then we can ask the question. Or you are able to unmute yourself, then you can ask the questions by audio or video. Thank you.
So we have a free regime of the capital flow. So you can sell the property to foreigners as well. You can sell a property to anyone else. It's not like you. It's not like other country like some country like Australia. You can buy the property, but you cannot sell to the foreigners, right? You have to sell to the local people. We don't have this kind of regulations. Okay, we don't even have something like a capital gain tax. We don't have it. So
Oh, okay. Mr. Lowen, can you please repeat the question? I think the question is sell the property and leave. Can they take their investment proceeds out of Indonesia? I guess that's related in regards to the capital gains tax as foreigners, right? And also, how would you
we
hold
don't have
title?
capital gain tax. Yeah,
Oh,
the
no
title
capital
is the
tax.
yeah. The title is freehold because we have a we are not we refer to the Dutch law. So the title is freehold 80 years but divided by 30 years, 20 years, and 30 years. But it's guaranteed to be extended. You must apply to extend 1 year before. Okay.
Oh, okay. So it's like a leasehold then.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
every
yeah.
total of about 90 years, but every 30 years it gets
80 years,
extended.
80 years, yeah. 80 years. But Nusantara is different. Nusantara is a free tax zones. The new capital is free tax zones. Nobody pay tax there. And
So which
is
city?
the leasehold is 80 years plus 80 years different. Yeah.
Oh, 80
So
years
we
plus
have
80
two
years.
projects. Now one is Nusantara, the new capital city, where is very specific for a tax is
New
regime.
Santara is the new community you showed us on the video, right?
Yeah,
The
the new capital
sustainable
city.
city.
Correct. Yeah. So
Oh.
yeah.
Then we have another question from Julie. Can we rent it out?
Yeah. You are eligible. You are open to rent it out, and you can also it is is designed for to be like a cultural. You can go to the bank as well if you have banks up. Only after you have working permit, you can borrow from the bank, and also it could be also inherited. Okay.
Oh, okay. So you have to get a how do you get a loan from the bank as a foreigner?
Yeah, if you want to get a loan from the bank, you have to apply the working visa. But never mind, because our developer is strong. We also provide something like in something like in stages play in installment payment, like 2 years, every month, or 3 years.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Thank you. It was very nice presentation. But how is the healthcare in Indonesia, especially in Batam, Jakarta, or Bali? Well, of course, those are major cities. But what if the new communities or farther islands? How is generally the healthcare system works there, and what is the rating there?
Yeah, we have some international chains like Gleneagles is quite strong there, Gleneagles, and also local hospital like Siloam, Maypada Hospital is also quite advanced there, I can say, especially Jakarta and Bali, because of course Bali have a lot of tourists. Of course, once you are eligible for when you're looking for tourists, especially senior living, you must provide the good healthcare. I understand that we have it. Okay, especially if you're looking for something like international change, we have Gleneagles is a major contributor in this healthcare industry.
All right, if for this senior families that they want to buy something to move into Indonesia, do you guys have some agencies that they can help these seniors?
Of course, yeah. We can introduce our agency to address your needs. Yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes.
Yeah. My son, in fact, I was in Bali last year. My son right now lives in Bali, but he is under visa every 3 months, or he had to go to Hong Kong to get new visa, which he got it for 6 months. But in order to buy something to live, because he's living in different hotels right now, my understanding is he cannot buy by himself. He needs to buy with another, I guess, citizen from Indonesia or Bali. Is that how is it? He cannot buy.
No, there's no more. Now you don't have to use nominee anymore. Yes, last time you have to use local Balinese as your nominee to buy property. But
Yes.
now no more. You are open to buy under your son's name using his passport. Okay.
Okay, but well, of course he's an American passport, so he could buy a property in Bali under his name right now, or I can help him to buy.
Correct. And but he has to buy from the developers, our members. And also the good news is besides the buying property, he also can submit for the golden visa, like 5 years.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Just ask him to contact me, okay? Yoshi know my number, okay?
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lowen. If you have any additional questions, please, you can contact him directly, or you can contact Mr. Takita, and we can go from there. And next, I guess, because of time restraints, we're going to move on to our Vietnam market. But thank you so much, Mr. Lowen, for joining us and staying up late in your region and giving us all the information for Indonesia. It's such a lovely country.
Christina,
Yes,
can I have the number again? For
Oh,
I
yeah.
just text my number in the inbox for WhatsApp number.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, floor sheets right there. And then if you need it, I can also share it with you as well too later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matane, Yoshi-san.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Next, Van, would you come on and we can move on to the next segment for the Vietnam markets. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina and the GBA group from Orange County Realtor Association. My name is Van Gordon. I am on the board of the Orange County Realtor Association, as well as the current vice president for Vietnamese National Association of Real Estate Professionals, founded in 2015. We're coming up 10 years anniversary, by the way, with the laser focus to bridge the gap of the real estate community. It is my pleasure today to bring you a panel of 3 people who are going to give you an overview of the Vietnam real estate market, the business culture, and a highlight of a business transaction in Vietnam, as well as 2 success stories. First up, I would like to introduce Ms. Liu Nguyen. She is a distinguished leader recognized as the first woman sent on overseas assignments as expat by a company with over 55 years of history and 27,000 plus employees. She was selected as one of the 21 global ambassadors for the National Association of Realtors, representing over 1.4 million members and collaborating with 85 plus countries. Ms. Liu co-hosted the very first International Real Estate Conference in Hanoi, helped the Vietnam National Real Estate Association, brought over 2,500 attendees, and 22 countries participated, connecting Vietnam real estate to the world. She hosted 4 trade missions to Vietnam. The most recent was last month. She was one of the founding board members of AREA in Washington, D.C. Metro chapter. Ms. Liu is currently with a boutique broker, Westgate Realty Group, doing residential and commercial real estate in the Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Maryland market. Please help me to welcome Ms. Liu Nguyen.
Thank you, Van, so much. Xin chào, good morning, California. Good morning, OCR. We all hear this before. It says, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And today I'm going to share a few tidbits about real estate investment in the Vietnam market. And I think that by preparing yourself to know some of these high level key points, tidbits, tips, that hopefully that it will help you navigate your process of international real estate investment, especially in Vietnam. And I'd like to thank you, GBR from OCR, for hosting today's webinar. And thank you, Vaughn, for inviting me to speak today. And you know, just like anything else, before we do business with anyone, we need to do some research, right? So before you do business in a foreign country, we need to understand a little bit about its history. So Vietnam was colonized by first the Chinese from the year 111 BC, before Christ, to 900 AD. And then after that, the French colonized Vietnam from about 1887 to 1954. And during that time window, there was a short time frame that we were colonized by the Japanese, and that was from 1941 to 1945. That was during World War II. Because of the colonization, Vietnam's culture is very much heavily influenced by the Chinese, as you can see, because the Chinese colonized Vietnam for almost 1,000 years. Can you go back to the first one, please? As many of our traditions are very similar to the Chinese, and of course, in the more modern day, then Vietnam is influenced a lot by the French. It's a bit more modern. The Japanese didn't have much impact on the Vietnamese culture, as that's purely because of the time frame that they were there. It was just a few years, I think 4 years. And so with that little knowledge of history about Vietnam, it will help you understand more about its culture. So today I will focus on key culture habits and etiquettes that we see in the workplace. So one of the things that's very important, I think this is not just in Vietnam, but also in the other Asian cultures. The business etiquette in Vietnam is saving face, right? Saving face is like a cornerstone of the Vietnamese culture and many other Asian countries. It's the act of helping someone recover after a mistake is made in a way that preserves their dignity, their pride, in the presence of their colleagues, their community, their friends, their family. And so avoid humiliating others in public at all costs. And I think, again, this is not just Vietnam. I think that you will find this is true for many other Asian countries as well. So you don't want to embarrass anyone in public. That's a big no-no. And then the second thing is that you will see in Vietnam that's very different than other Asian countries is that a woman's place in the other Asian countries is usually in the home. And whereas in Vietnam, it's a little bit different. The Vietnamese, in the old days, the Vietnamese men were considered as scholars. So they get their education, then they stay home, they teach. Whereas the women were the entrepreneurs. They bring the products to the market to sell to everybody. And then the women were the breadwinners and the ones who put the food on the table. So in Vietnam today, you will see many women hold high executive positions in business as well as in politics. Vietnam is among countries leading the world for women in politics, according to the recent report from the Vietnam's Ministry of Labor, Invalids, and Social Affairs. So around 30% of the 15 tenure National Assembly's deputies are female today. So they have a big woman movement there. And then the other thing is handshakes. You know, I used to work in Vietnam from 1996 through 2005. When I first got there, the handshakes that I got, which is not a tight grip, just like barely touch your hand. But, you know, especially in the rural area. But now more and more, they're working with the global market. So they're more, their handshakes now is more in a tight grip. Like the last trip that we went to Vietnam in October, I've experienced a lot of the tight handshake, but in the past, it wasn't the case. And now even that, there's still, if you're out in the rural area, there's still quite a bit of those handshakes that just like a touch on the hand, but not really a tight grip handshake. So That's just FYI for you. It's not because they don't care. It's not because they don't take you seriously. It's not because they have a lackadaisical attitude, but it's just the culture that they're just not used to. The other things that we come across a lot, that when I was working there, a lot of foreigners had asked why they see a lot of women holding hands. So this is not uncommon to see women holding hands in Vietnam, especially among friends and close family members. This is a gesture of showing affections and respect for each other. It's also not uncommon to see men put their arms around the other male. That's to show camaraderie. So on the other hand, couples avoid showing affections in public, like hugging, kissing, as that's considered inappropriate and disrespectful. So if you practice some of these etiquettes, you will go far. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next issue. The next topic is why Vietnam today, right? Last September, President Biden visited Vietnam and raised the relations between the two countries and provided Vietnam with a comprehensive strategic partnership status. And the bilateral trade between the two countries had grown 360% since they started back in 1994. It grew from a $30 billion to today of 139 billion US dollars. So Vietnam today has the fastest growing middle and affluent classes in the region. And the population, they have over 100 million people. So you have over 100 million consumers. They ranked 15th globally, and half are under the age of 30. Right? And Vietnam economic growth has experienced consistent GDP growth of over the past decade, averaging about 6%. And in 2023, the GDP for Vietnam is about 430 billion US dollars. So during our last visit with Vietnam in October, the US General Counsel had shared with us that Vietnam now is very aggressive in trying to expand their market to the US. And so on an annual basis, the US have an event, it's called Select USA in May here in Washington, DC. And in the past, you only had about 10 people attended. And that was about 2016, 2017. And the last trip, the last May, they had over 70 representatives from Vietnam representing over 50 companies. So that tells you that, and that's the largest delegation that comes to Select USA, where they're looking to expand into the US, looking for ways to invest into the US. So this is good information for any of you who are working with foreign investors, because when they come to invest in the US, one of the things they're going to do is buy homes. So don't let these opportunities go unnoticed. So I'm going to go quickly through the buying process because of the growth in Vietnam today. So many people are interested in buying real estate in Vietnam. And so when you wanted to invest in there, you have to learn some of the basic information. So today we're going to go at a very high level, and I will go through very quickly the buying process in real estate in Vietnam. The Vietnamese government said that, the land belongs to the people, but the government manages it. So there are certain regulations that you do have to abide by. So first thing, what do you do when you buy property in Vietnam? As foreigners, we can only buy in approved development projects. You cannot just go down the street and you see a nice house and you say, oh, I want to buy this house. It does not work like that. You can only, as foreigners, we can only buy in approved development projects. And what they do is they zone it in a way so that each of these projects that you need, let's say if you're going to go into a new development project, one of the first thing you want to check with the developer is that what's the percentage that they have sold to foreigners, because the government only allow foreigners to buy up to 30% in a project. So if they already sold at 30%, you shouldn't be buying in that project because they already maxed out. You should be looking at other projects. But if their projects is only sold like 5, 6, 10% to the foreigners, then by all means, that's a project that you can consider to purchase if that is the project you're interested in. And then the land use in Vietnam is limited to 50 years for foreigners. There's certain type of housing that you can buy in Vietnam. That's condotels, which is like condominiums here, but it's being managed by a property management company, like a nice hotel, like 5-star hotel, like the Marriott or the Ritz-Carlton or the likes. You can also buy shop houses. That's like a mixed use here in the US. So the first floor would be like retail, and the upper floors is for condos to live or townhouses. And then, of course, the villas is like the detached homes here in the US. And so what is the process? First, if you're interested in buying a real estate property in Vietnam, first you want to open up a bank account there. And to open up a bank account there in Vietnam is quite simple. You just need a passport and a visa, then you can make that happen. Whereas I work with a lot of foreigners from Vietnam to the US, open up a bank account in the US is quite difficult. It's not as easy as we think it is because we're Americans here. But as a foreigner, they have to go through a process that's going to take some time, a lot of background checks. Once they approve for their background checks, then they'll and with an address here in the U.S., then they can have a bank account. Otherwise, they will shut down that bank account. Okay, but in Vietnam, all you need is just a passport and a visa to make this happen. And then because Vietnam welcomes foreigners to bring money into Vietnam, so it is not a problem sending money into Vietnam. If it's under $500,000, usually the bank really doesn't require any special documentation. But if it's over 500,000, then you need to provide, and they'll ask for the reason. So your reason would be to purchase real estate there. So they will want to see a copy of your purchasing contract. Okay. And then one thing that you really need to note is that you will always need to keep the original copy of the contract, any wire transfer, anything that you do related to that transaction, make sure you keep a copy. And if it's the original, that's the best way to do it. Okay. All track records, communications, letters, wiring transfer receipts, all of that, payment receipts, keep all of that to prove that you brought that money in and that you purchased that real estate there. Okay, so again, the land use is usually just 50 years for foreigner. And after that, now that they can allow you to extend maybe to another 50 years. Not like here in the US, once you buy real estate, then you have it for life, and then you can pass it on to the next generation. You can buy airspace. In most of Asian countries, they allow you to buy airspace, like in Singapore, for example, you can buy just the airspace. You cannot buy anything that touches land. In Vietnam, you can buy condotels, which is the airspace, but then you can also buy, like I said earlier, the shop houses or the villas, but it has to be in development projects, in assigned approved development projects. You cannot just buy anywhere. And for the local Vietnamese, some land use that they can use it forever, they can have it for life, but some also have the restrictions of 50 years or 75 years or 99 years. So, for the local Vietnamese, when they buy, they have to find out if that land, the zoning allowed for that land for the use, what's the time frame on that. But as foreigners, it just flat across the board is 50 years. When you buy a real estate in Vietnam, you pay a 10% VAT tax, value added tax. This is standard across the board for all buyers, whether you're Vietnamese, Viet Kieu, or foreigners, you pay that 10% VAT. And then regarding to the title in Vietnam, you will hear people mention like the red book, they call it Sổ Đỏ, or the pink book, Sổ Hồng, right? But all of those, they all are land use certificates. And for the land use certificate, that's for land only, then the land use certificate is in red. So the local people call it the red book. And then for the land use certificate, that's for land and with a house on it, then the certificate is called pink book. So then the local people call it the pink book, but it's the certificate is just in pink. But in the end, it's all the land use certificate when they talk about the title of the property. Okay. When you purchased investment in anything, one thing I always tell everybody, you got to look at the exit strategy. Okay, if you cannot sell it, can you rent it? If you can't rent it, what can you do with that property? Number one, but that's very regular. Anywhere that you do investment, you got to look at those things. But in Vietnam, you also have to ask a very important question: is that can you bring that money out of Vietnam? And I got to tell you, a lot of people that I work with, international investor in different countries, they don't, even here in the US, they don't look at the exit strategies. And then when they purchase overseas, they don't review all the requirements. They don't look at the exit strategies. They don't know whether or not they can bring that money outside of the country. So until after they bought it, and then by the time they sell it, they've realized, oh, well, I can't get the money out of the country. So that's a serious issue. So this is something that we want to make sure that everybody who are interested in investing in Vietnam, you can take the money out of Vietnam, but you have to do certain things at the time that you purchase it to make sure you have no headaches, no issues when you sell it. So when you sell the property, you pay a 2% tax on the sale price, not on the capital gain, but on the total sale price. And then you need to have an original purchase contract that has been notarized. And so you got to have the receipt that you paid the tax to the Vietnamese government. So with that document, with those three things that you've done, then you bring that to the bank will transfer the money for you. When you don't have the original purchase contract or it's not notarized, they will not do the transfer. If you haven't paid the tax, or you paid the tax but you don't have the receipt, they will not do the transfer for you. So it's important that you have all of those three, like pay the tax, the 2% tax, you got to have the receipt that the tax is paid, and you got to have the original purchase contract that's been notarized on it. Okay, or the sales contract. Okay, so again, if you don't have those, it's going to be very tough for you to get the money out of Vietnam. And a lot of people complain. They say, God, it's so tough, to get money outside of Vietnam. But it's all because you don't understand the law and you don't understand the process. You assume it's like here in the US, and then you find out after the fact. So this is the reason that it's very important that you look for specialists to work with. Just like here in the US, when we tell our clients, when you're a buyer or seller, make sure you work with the professional, work with our realtors, because they know all the ins and the outs, the laws, that they can help guide you through that process and make it seamless. Okay, so with that, I know our time is very limited, so I will leave some time at the end for Q&A. But before we start the Q&A, I think we have two person here that's on this call or on this webinar that had purchased real estate in Vietnam. We have Bruce, who's based out of San Jose, and Trong Lam, also based out of San Jose. So maybe, Van, you can invite those to maybe share their experience for everybody before we get into the Q&A. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Liu, for the presentation. If you are interested in finding out more information and how to work and buy real estate in Vietnam, please feel free to reach out to Ms. Liu Nguyen and or myself. Next up, I'd like to introduce Mr. Chung Lam. He is an experienced investor in both US and in Vietnam. He will share with us his recent success story. The floor is yours, Chung.
Hello, hi everybody. Hi, chị Liu. Hold on. Okay, so sorry, I'm on the road right now. But anyways, I really thank you so much for the information. Very, very detailed. Especially you mentioned how to bring the money back to America. I forgot about it. So I just know how to bring the money to Vietnam, but I totally forgot how to bring the money back to America. But I don't think I'm gonna the money in Vietnam, when I invest in Vietnam, I just leave it there. So the main reason I invest in Vietnam, there are two concepts I invest in. The number one concept is condotel, and the second one is condo. The reason why I like this concept, because in Vietnam, when you invest in Vietnam, there is one thing that I want to tell you. There is a pro and the con, but I want to talk about the risk first, okay? So the risky in because I did win and I did lose money in Vietnam too. So I want to share about 5-10 minutes of my experience. The different when you buy a purchase condo in Vietnam. The difference between Vietnam developer is and America developer is like, for example, when you buy a brand new house in Sacramento or Texas, right? You just need to put the deposit 3% down, and then you don't fund the money until close of the escrow 100% of that. So that's why you always feel safe in Vietnam when you put the money in. You don't put all the money in until the house completed. But in Vietnam, it's different. In Vietnam, they do you have to pay money like tiếng độ, like stage by stage. So like within 2 years, when the builder built the high-rise condo, then they have about 15 install payments and you on the payment plan. So when you pay at the phase that they built. So that's why basically is from the time you deposit until the house completed, you put in her percent for that 2 years, phase by phase. So it's different that in America, you don't put in until the days of close the escrow. And the risky in Vietnam is because sometimes some developers, they build halfway and then they stop building. So end up your money stuck in there too. I do have a project that I have like $200,000 stuck in high-rise projects. The reason what happened is one of the developer, they did promise to pay some of the interest profit when you pay off in advance upfront. They do give you interest, but end up halfway they don't build the project, so they stuck. So that's why my advice to all the investor in Vietnam, when you invest in Vietnam, you should, number one is the reputation of the developers.
So I hope our panel speakers have helped everyone to understand a bit better of the flow of the real estate transaction in Vietnam. Finally, we all here. We're gonna display the information at the end. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. Now it's the question, and if you have any question, it's Q&A. Please let us know if you have any question, and I'm going to go through some of the questions that's already in the chat. The first one I have, Chung, are you still online?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so the question for you was, what districts or areas do you see the most growth right now in Vietnam and or Saigon, which is Ho Chi Minh City?
The video that you just see from Bruce, just randomly we found out that we bought the same project, and we are neighbors. We didn't know that. So basically right now in Saigon, in the metro area, the house is very, very expensive. So end up why me and Bruce have the same mindset. The reason because the one that we purchased was it's like a new city in Thủ Đức Quận 9. So when we buy the investment of real estate, of course, we all look for location. Right now, this location is about like 45 minutes from the Grand Park Quận 9 Thủ Đức to the city. But the house, the price is about 1/3. Okay. The reason we purchased here because they have like a mega project. They have golf park. They have like a Pearland, like Disneyland there too, like Disneyland, and they like the whole city with all the amenities, with all the market. They have a big mall in the southern Vietnam there too. So and also right now the distance from there is Grand Park to the metro city. It's about 1 hour, but they're building the freeway right now. See the Beltway, and it's maybe another I think a year to complete it. And when the Beltway, which is the freeway, be completed, the time will be shorted about half of the time. So it's like only half an hour to get there. So basically, if you have tons of money, a lot of money. Then yeah, if you like convenience, you buy right in the prime of Saigon. But if you thinking about investment, you like somewhere all new, like a new city, new park, new school, new public amenities, and also I think this next to the river, the Nile too. So that's why, like me, I cannot live in the main city because it's too crowded, too noisy and dusty, right? But if the suburban, the outside outskirt area it's just like America. It's like Singapore. They build like a Singapore concept. So I think it's fit for me and Bruce, you know. So that's why we invest there.
Great, Jung. So the next question from
Hey, let me
me.
follow up on that really quickly, Yvonne.
Sure, Ji.
Usually in the developing country, if you see the big major developer, and I would talk about major developer only, if they go and open up a project somewhere, you follow them. Within 2 years, guarantee the property value will definitely go way up. And that's what the Vietnamese, they usually follow the major developer. There are 3 or 4 of them that's major big. And then everywhere that these guys go to develop, they follow them. And they go in when it's like dirt cheap, or they buy the local lands nearby because they know within 2 years that that area is developed, everything is going to go up. So just FYI. But yes, like the downtown Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi, District 1 and all that, way too expensive today.
Definitely. Great point there, Chi Liu. So, Chung, do you have any idea what the rent is for, or the range for the rent currently in some of the projects that you have knowledge of?
Okay. So two concepts I invest. Number one, is condo hotel, because I cannot afford a beachfront in America, you know. So, but the beachfront in Vietnam condo hotel is about $100 to $2,000 each unit, and so the one thing about Vietnam is there's no property tax. Okay, so that's why I love the invest Vietnam. No property tax, the HOA is so low. The couple condo hotel that I purchased from Vin Group, so they give a guarantee 10 years % return for the first 5 years, you know, and after that it's based on the market. So I purchased a condo hotel in Da Nang and Nha Trang from Vin Group. That was one of the first condo hotel project ever in Vietnam, and it's about $100,000 to $200,000 each unit. And yes, the Green Group, they did delivery, the guarantee 10% return for the first 5 years. Now the 5 years done, and based on the market right now, and based on the operation income right now, they deliver about 5 to 7% of the rental income. Okay, and another one that I just closed in which is the same developer with Bruce bought it, and it's a mastery in Grand Park, Duc. And the one that I bought was 2 bedrooms. The view is like front view to the Grand Park. It's beautiful. It's the prime view, a car Hoa Hậu view, right? And purchased for like 2 bedroom I bought for $220,000. My original plan was to do for Airbnb, you know. So I was thinking when I go back to Vietnam myself, I just stay in Saigon, nearby Saigon. However, this mastery is one of the top luxury towers in that area. So the HOA decide they ban the Airbnb. So end up, you know, I have to rent out long term instead of Airbnb. So the rent was, I think, about $700, you know, which is not much for the long term. So basically, I think if you rent out if you buy condo for long term, for a long term, I think the return income back about 3-4%. You know, yeah. So it's I think it's like in America, yeah. So that's why. But the potential you're looking for is the return of the appreciation in the future. You know, that's where you bet on, but not on the rental income.
Makes sense. Thank you, Chung. The question, do they have property tax in Vietnam? So I guess you already answered that. There's no property tax in Vietnam.
They
Chi
don't, but
Liu?
I want to add on. They want to add on. They have like a thổ chập, you know, and I think it's pretty low. So, but they don't have property tax like in America.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Next question. Who are these 4 big developers in Vietnam you mentioned before?
One of them, as Trung had already mentioned, it's Vin Group is one. The other one, FLC, number 3, CEO are the 3. I'm trying to think who's the 4th. Maserati is the other one that's very big as well.
Could you please type it in the chat, Julia, if you don't mind?
I already
Thank
have
you
my
so much.
contact for Davina, I think that's her name.
Davina, okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
so we're gonna talk to each other offline.
Wonderful. All right, I think I mentioned all the questions here. So thank you so much, everybody. Unless you have any more questions, but I think our time is almost up here. Our information is available there. If you have any question, feel free to reach out to Ms. Lưu Nguyen, Trung Lam, Bruce Wack, or myself. And again, thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the presenters today and speakers and on Vietnam and Indonesia, such wonderful presentations and in full detail and great videos showcasing some of the properties and the culture and the regions. Thank you everyone for attending our webinar, and we look forward to inviting you to more in the future. This will be the last webinar for this year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, the GBA team, Christina, Lata, and Phương. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a great
you.
rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Yeah.